Okay, so today we're going to do Chapter 8, Section 7 with factoring trinomials that have a number in front of the x squared that is other than 1. So it could be bigger, it could be smaller. Okay, and you can see that this is an example of a trinomial with the first coefficient is bigger than 1. Okay, we're going to solve this problem and have the steps listed out. You may have to pause it to figure out what's happening and go back, and that's fine. But I'm going to walk you guys through it because it's been a while since we've even factored a regular trinomial. Okay, so for this type of problem, I know last time we worked on listing the factors, but it's a little bit different this time. So this time when you solve it, we're going to be using the factors of the first and the third term. So that means 2 times 3 is going to give us a 6, and then we're going to list the factors of 6 out. Okay, we still need to come up with factors that are going to give us a positive 5, so that's a plus 2 and a plus 3, but the way you're going to write it right now is going to be different. We're not going to use the double brackets. Instead, we're going to bring down our first term, we're going to bring down our third term, and then we're going to list these two parts, both of these factors that we got, with our variable in the center. Okay, so we're going to be listing those two to help us combine to get the 5. Okay, so now that we're at this point, we're going to bring it back down here so we can look at the next one. And we're going to use our factor by grouping skills. And if you don't remember factor by grouping, you might need to look it up on the internet. If you type in factor by grouping, it'll come up. Khan Academy is really good with their mini lessons and stuff. There's a couple other YouTube people that are great. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to see what can you take out of the first section here, which in this case we can take out a 2 and we can take out an x. What are we left with when we divide them out? Well, we're left with x plus 1. For this one, we want to know what are we left with over here. We're going to take out a 3 and we're going to be left with x plus 1 over here. If you do factor by grouping correctly, your first and second set of parentheses should be the same. If they're not the same, then you didn't do it correct. Once they're the same, you're going to bring that factor down, and then you're going to put the two outside numbers, the two outside pieces, the coefficients together inside so that you have a binomial times a binomial. Okay, again, you can pause this if you need to go back through it. We're going to start solving some of these. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is take our coefficients of 5 and 6. We're going to multiply them together, and you're going to get a 30. Okay, so that means I'm going to have a 30 over here. I just need to list all the factors of 30. So 1 and 30. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. Okay, now I know that this is positive and this is negative, and we learned this last time. How can I multiply to get a positive? Well, I can either have 2 positives multiplied together or 2 negatives. When I add them together, I need my middle number to be negative. So that means I'm going to have a negative times a negative, which is what's going to give me the positive. So both numbers over here, both factors, are going to be negative. Which 2 sets of numbers can I combine together to get negative 13? Well, 3 and 10. So just like we did before, I'm going to bring down my first and last terms. So 5x squared plus 6. And now I'm going to put these in there with their variable. So minus 10x and minus 3x. Why did I put the 10 first? Well, this is what's going to have to be what we're thinking about. I put the 10 first because I have to factor by grouping. So I want to look and see, is there a number that I can take out of both of these factors? And if I put the 3 here, then I would have had to do another step to rearrange. So I'm at the factor by grouping step. So I know I'm going to look at 5 and 10. What can I take out? Well, I can take out a 5 and an x. What am I left with when I divide each one of these out? Well, I'm left with an x and minus 2. Okay, And I'm going to look at my second number. What can I take out of both of these? Remembering that my goal is to get x minus 2. So what can I divide into this so that I get a positive x? Well, negative 3. Negative 3 will go into positive 6, and I'm left with negative 2. So both of my last terms match. So I'm going to bring down x minus 2. That's my term in the parentheses. And my first binomial is going to be what's left on the outside. So 5x minus 3. And if you didn't believe me, and again, wanted to double check, you could set up the area model and try to solve it. Okay, let's look at example 2. We have to take 7 and 4 and multiply them together and get 28. Okay, now we're going to break that down. So 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. And our middle term is 29. So we're looking at the 1 and 28. And because they're both positive, we know they're both going to be positive. I'm going to bring down my first term and my last term. And I'm going to have positive 1x, positive 28x. Okay, so I just wrote it in this time. But is there anything I can take out of these that's going to make it work? Well, let's try it and see. Okay, what can I take out of here? Well, I can take a 7 and an x, and that's going to leave me with x plus 1. What could I take out of here? Well, I could take out a 4. If I take out a 4, I'm left with this. Are these the same things? And the answer is no. So I know that this cannot be factored that way. I have to rearrange my middle terms. So now I'm going to try it again. What can I take out of these? Now this already matches, so that means I'm just going to take out a 1, because 1 times anything is itself, and I'm going to be left with x plus 4. My binomials match, so I've got x plus 4 here. And what are the front coefficients? 7x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to go to the next page. And I'll be right back with you guys on the second video.